I walked in from Annie's grave and saw strangers moving my furniture. My mother-in-law didn't even turn around. "This will be the nursery for my new grandson," she said. I checked my phone. "Just curious," I said. "Did he forget to mention the vasectomy? Or the deed?" I still remember the exact texture of the granite under my fingertips that morning. Cool, smooth. The engraving was starting to collect pine needles in the carved letters of her name. Annie Rose Mitchell, 2019 to 2023, our brightest light. 4 years and 7 months. That's all we got. I'd been there since dawn, the way I went every Tuesday. Tuesdays were her favorite, library day at preschool, then mac and cheese for lunch. I still made it every Tuesday, ate it alone at the kitchen table, brought the flowers she would have picked. Daisies, because she said they looked happy. The cemetery was 40 minutes from our house. I liked the drive. It gave me time to prepare for coming home, for walking past her door, for the way David's mother had started looking at me with that particular expression I'd come to recognize. Pity mixed with impatience. Grief has an expiration date in some people's minds. I pulled into our driveway at 10:47 a.m. There was a U-Haul truck parked at an angle across the lawn. I sat in my car for a moment, hand still on the key in the ignition, trying to make sense of it. David was at work. We weren't expecting anything. We hadn't ordered furniture. We weren't moving. The front door was propped open with a decorative stone we kept by the porch, a painted turtle Annie had made at summer camp the year before she got sick. Its shell was smeared with mud from someone's boot. I could hear voices inside, movement. The distinctive sound of furniture scraping across hardwood. I got out of the car slowly. My legs felt strange, like they belonged to someone else. When I stepped through the door, I saw them immediately. 2 men I'd never met, both wearing work gloves, carrying Annie's white dresser down the hallway. The one in front was walking backward, calling directions to his partner. "Easy, easy, pivot left." Behind them, directing traffic with the confidence of someone who owned the place, was David's mother. Judith Mitchell had a key to our house. We'd given it to her years ago, back when Annie was a baby, and we needed emergency backup for childcare. We'd never asked for it back. She was wearing what she always wore when she wanted to look authoritative: cream-colored slacks, a silk blouse, tasteful pearls. Her silver hair was styled in the same way it had been styled at Annie's funeral. She was holding a clipboard. "A little to the right," she called to the movers. "We'll want the crib against that wall where the light's best in the morning." I stood in my own entryway, still holding my car keys, trying to process what I was seeing. The dresser disappeared around the corner toward the garage. One of the men came back up the hallway, consulting with Judith about the next piece. She gestured toward Annie's room, toward the door that was always closed. The door I opened only to dust and to sit in the rocking chair sometimes when the grief was too heavy to carry standing up. That door was open now, wide open. I could see inside from where I stood. The walls were the same soft yellow we'd painted when I was 7 months pregnant. The clouds David had stenciled near the ceiling, the growth chart we'd marked in pencil on the door frame, tracking her height every birthday. The shelves were empty, the rocking chair was gone. "Judith," my voice came out quieter than I'd intended. She didn't hear me over the sounds of the movers returning, carrying Annie's bookshelf between them. The bookshelf David had built himself, sanded for hours to make sure there were no rough edges that could catch small fingers. "Judith." This time she turned. Her expression was pleasant, untroubled. The expression of someone in the middle of a productive morning. "Oh, Claire, you're back earlier than I expected." She glanced at her watch. "I thought you usually stayed until noon on Tuesdays." I couldn't speak. I was looking past her, at the men carrying pieces of my daughter's room past me like they were clearing out an estate sale. Judith followed my gaze and smiled, a warm, grandmotherly smile. "I know this might feel sudden," she said, "but I wanted to surprise you. Well, surprise both of you, really. This will be the nursery for my new grandson." The words came at me through layers of cotton. I heard them, I understood each individual word. But together, in that sequence, in that context, they didn't make sense. "What?" "Marcus and Jennifer are expecting." Judith's smile widened. She said it the way people announce good news, the way you'd tell someone they'd won something. "They just found out it's a boy, they're due in November. And since they're moving back to town, Marcus got that position at the firm. You know, and their condo is quite small," I thought. "Well, why not? You have this whole room just sitting here, and Claire, honey, I know it's been hard, but it's been over a year now. Stop. She paused. Her smile faltered slightly but didn't disappear. Stop talking, I said. Get out of my house. Claire, get out. One of the movers had frozen in the hallway, holding one end of Annie's toy chest. The other end was still out of sight around the corner. He was looking at me, then at Judith, clearly trying to determine who was actually in charge here. Judith's expression shifted. The smile was gone now, replaced with something firmer. The look she used to use on David when he was a teenager, and she needed to remind him who made the rules. I understand you're emotional, she said, but I really think if you just take a breath and think about this rationally, you're moving my dead daughter's furniture out of her room. Claire, she's not using it, and Marcus and Jennifer need— I don't care what Marcus and Jennifer need. My voice was shaking now. That is my daughter's room, her things, her— I couldn't finish. The word space felt too small. You don't touch her room. I'm trying to help you move forward. Judith's voice had taken on the patient, slightly condescending tone she used when she thought she was being reasonable and everyone else was being hysterical. Keeping a shrine to a child who's gone isn't healthy. David's been worried about you, we both have. This house, it's like a mausoleum, and now there's going to be new life, a new baby, a fresh start. Did David tell you to do this? David agrees with me that it's time to— Did he tell you to do this, today? Did he say, Falk, Mom, while Claire's at the cemetery visiting our daughter's grave, please come to our house and empty her bedroom? Judith pressed her lips together. He knows it needs to happen. He's just been too soft-hearted to push you. Get out of my house. These men have already been paid for the full day. Then they can take everything they've touched and put it back exactly where it was. Or they can leave it in the driveway and I'll call the police and report a burglary. The mover with the toy chest cleared his throat. Ma'am, maybe we should— You're being irrational, Judith said. Her voice was sharper now. I'm trying to do something kind for you, something that will help this family heal, and you're— I pulled my phone from my pocket. My hands were shaking so badly it took 2 tries to unlock it. I opened my messages, found the thread with David, scrolled back 3 weeks. There it was. I turned the phone toward Judith. Just curious, I said. My voice sounded strange even to me, too calm, too quiet. Did Marcus forget to mention the vasectomy? Judith stared at the screen. I watched her read the message David had sent me, the one with the photo of himself in a hospital gown, giving a thumbs up. The caption, getting it done. No, more kids for us. Love you. The date stamp was clearly visible. 3 weeks ago. That's— Judith's face had gone very still. That must be a mistake. He wouldn't have done that without telling me. We talked about this. After Annie, I told him, you're young, you'll want to try again, give Claire another baby to— He did tell you, I said. He told you he was getting a vasectomy. You told him not to. He did it anyway. Jennifer is definitely pregnant. She showed me the test herself. Then Marcus is the father, which is wonderful for them. But that child is not going to be raised in my daughter's bedroom. I swiped to another screen, to the Photos app, to the folder David had labeled House Docs. I pulled up the deed. Our deed. The one we'd had redrawn 2 years ago after Annie's diagnosis, when we'd met with the estate lawyer about wills and trusts and all the terrible paperwork you do when your child is dying. This house, I said, holding the phone steady, even though my hands wanted to shake, is in my name, only my name. David and I made that decision together when we redid our estate planning. He owns his business. I own our home. It's very clear on the deed. Would you like to see the date it was filed? Judith's face had gone pale. So just to be absolutely clear, I continued, you broke into my house because coming in without permission, even with a key, is breaking in, and you attempted to steal my property to give to your other son's pregnant girlfriend. And you did this based on the assumption that I would just— what? Be grateful? Move on? Let you erase the only physical space I have left of my daughter because you decided it was time? I have a key. Her voice was quieter now, defensive. Had, past tense. I held out my hand. She didn't move. The key, Judith. Now. Or I call the police and explain that you're trespassing and refusing to leave. For a long moment we stood there, her looking at me like she'd never seen me before, like I'd transformed into something she didn't recognize. Maybe I had. She reached into her purse, pulled out her keyring. worked the house key off with stiff, angry movements. She dropped it into my palm without touching my hand. "You're making a mistake," she said. "You're pushing away the people who love you, who want to help you. You're trying to erase my child. I'm trying to save you from turning her into a ghost that haunts you for the rest of your life. She's my ghost to keep." I turned to the movers. "Gentlemen, I apologize for wasting your time. If you could please return everything to where you found it, exactly where you found it, I'll pay you for your trouble." The one still holding the toy chest nodded slowly. "Yes, ma'am. And if you can't remember exactly where things were, I have photos on my phone from last week. I'll show you." Because I did. I had hundreds of photos of Annie's room. I took them compulsively, afraid I'd forget what it looked like, afraid the colors would fade in my memory, afraid I'd lose her twice. Judith walked to the door. She paused on the threshold, turned back. "David won't support you in this. Then David and I will have a conversation. You're going to lose your marriage over a room full of toys no one will ever play with again." The cruelty of it, the casual, pointed cruelty, took my breath away. "Get out." She left. The movers worked quietly, carefully, for the next 90 minutes. I showed them the photos, helped them position things, the dresser against the east wall, the bookshelf by the window, the rocking chair in the corner where I used to sit and sing to her when she couldn't sleep. They were kind, didn't ask questions, didn't offer opinions. When they were done, I paid them in cash, added an extra 100 for their trouble. Then I stood in the doorway of Annie's room and looked at everything back in its place. Not quite perfect. The rug was slightly crooked. One of the shelves had been put back with the books in the wrong order. But close. Close enough. I pulled the door closed, heard the soft click of the latch. Then I walked to the kitchen, sat down at the table, and called my husband. David answered on the third ring. I could hear the background noise of his office. Voices, phones, the general hum of a busy Tuesday afternoon. "Hey babe, what's up?" "Your mother broke into our house this morning." Silence. Then, "What?" "She used her key while I was at the cemetery. She brought movers. She was emptying Annie's room." More silence, longer this time. "Jesus." His voice dropped. "Claire, I didn't know. I swear I didn't know she was going to. She said you agreed with her, that you wanted the room cleared out." "I never—" He stopped. I heard him move, the sound of a door closing. When he spoke again, his voice was quieter, strained. "I never told her to do that. We talked, after Marcus told us about the baby, and she said something about how it was time for us to move on. And I said, God, I barely remember what I said. I was trying to get her off the phone. She was going on and on about how you needed closure, how keeping Annie's room was unhealthy. And I didn't argue with her. I should have. I should have shut it down completely. But I didn't think she'd actually She called it a shrine. Claire, she said I was turning Annie into a ghost. She said I was choosing a dead child over my marriage. I heard him breathe out slowly. "Are you okay?" It was such an absurd question I almost laughed. "No, David, I'm not okay. I came home from visiting our daughter's grave and found strangers carrying her furniture out of her room. I'm very far from okay. I'm coming home. Your mother thinks you're going to take her side on this." "Well, she's wrong." His voice was hard now, angry. "She had no right, none. Jesus, that's so far over the line. I'm leaving now. I'll be there in 20 minutes. She still thinks Marcus is having a baby." Another pause. "You told her about the vasectomy?" "She saw the message you sent me, the photo." "Good." He said it fiercely. "She's been on my case about that for weeks. Maybe now she'll finally—" He stopped. "The baby's real, though. Marcus confirmed it this morning. I figured. Mom wanted us to let them use Annie's room when they visit. Turn it into a guest nursery. She said it would be good for you to have a baby in the house again." I closed my eyes. "David, I know. If you had agreed to that, if you had even considered that, I wouldn't, Claire. I wouldn't do that to you, to Annie." I wanted to believe him. I did believe him mostly. David wasn't cruel, but he was weak sometimes when it came to his mother. He always had been. "She has to stay away," I said. "From me, from this house. I can't have her here, David. I can't have her looking at me like I'm broken, like I'm the problem. Like if I just let go of my grief, everyone's life would be easier. Okay. I'm serious. I know you are. I'm serious too. She crossed a line, a huge line. She doesn't get to make decisions about our house, our life, our daughter's memory. I'll talk to her. She won't listen to you. Then I'll make her listen. I heard the pain in his voice, the guilt. David loved his mother, but he'd loved Annie more. He loved me, and he was realizing, maybe for the first time, that those loyalties were incompatible. I took her key, I said. Good. She said I was making a mistake, pushing away people who love me. She doesn't get to define love while she's literally dismantling our daughter's room. I felt something crack open in my chest. Relief, maybe. Or just exhaustion. David was on my side. That mattered. That was something. I'll be home soon, he said. Just don't do anything else. Don't answer the door if she comes back. Just wait for me. Okay? I love you. I love you too. I hung up, sat in the silent kitchen, looked at the calendar on the wall, the one we still hadn't changed from October, because Annie had drawn flowers all over the October page, and I couldn't bring myself to turn it. My phone buzzed, a text from a number I didn't recognize. This is Jennifer, Marcus's girlfriend. Please don't be mad at Judith. She was trying to help. We didn't ask her to do this, but she loves us, and she's excited about the baby, and sometimes she just gets carried away. I'm sure we can all work this out like adults. I stared at the message for a long time. Then I blocked the number. David came home with flowers, white roses. Not from the grocery store, from the good florist downtown, the expensive one. He set them on the counter and pulled me into a hug before he'd even taken off his jacket. I'm so sorry, he said into my hair. I'm so sorry. I let myself lean into him, let myself be held. It had been a long time since we'd stood like this, since we'd been anything other than two people moving carefully around each other's grief. Did you talk to her? I asked. On the way home, she's upset, defensive. She thinks she was helping. She wasn't helping. I know. He pulled back enough to look at me. I told her she's not welcome here until she apologizes to you. A real apology, not an I'm sorry you're upset apology. She won't do it. Then she won't come here. I searched his face. You mean that? Yes. Even if it means she misses holidays, birthdays, even if Marcus and Jennifer have their baby and she wants to bring them here, even then, he said it without hesitation. You're my wife. This is our home. She violated that. She violated you. And until she understands why that was wrong, genuinely understands, not just says words to smooth things over, she doesn't get to be here. I felt my eyes burning. She said I was choosing a ghost over my marriage. David's jaw tightened. She had no right to say that. Am I, though? The question came out before I could stop. Am I holding on too tight? Is keeping Annie's room exactly the way it was? Is that healthy? Or is your mom right? Is it making everything worse? Claire. He took my face in his hands. I don't have an answer to that. I don't know what's healthy and what's not anymore. All I know is that room is the last place we had her. And if you need it to stay exactly the way it was for 1 more year, or 10 more years, or forever, then that's what happens. It's not anyone else's decision. It's ours. What do you need? I asked. What would help you? He was quiet for a moment. I don't know. Some days I want to pack everything up because it hurts too much to walk past her door. Other days I want to move into that room and never leave it. His voice cracked. I miss her so much it feels like I can't breathe sometimes. But closing her door, keeping her things, that's not what's making it hurt. She's gone. That's what hurts. The room is it's just a room. It's not just a room to me. I know. It's where I go when I need to remember what she smelled like, what her voice sounded like when she was laughing. I sit in that chair, and I can still feel her in my arms, David. I couldn't finish. He pulled me close again. We stood there in the kitchen, holding each other while the afternoon light shifted across the floor. We should probably talk about Marcus and Jennifer, he said eventually. What about them? They're going to want to visit, with the baby after it's born. Mom will push for it. They can visit, they just can't stay in Annie's room. Okay. And if your mom wants to be here when they visit, she apologizes first. And I mean it, David. A real apology. Not just words. She has to actually understand what she did. I'll make sure she knows. And if she doesn't, then she doesn't come. I pulled back to look at him. That'll cause a fight, a big one. Let it. Marcus will be mad. Marcus can be mad. He's a grown man. He can handle his mother being disappointed. Your whole family will take her side, David shrugged. Probably. They usually do, but they weren't here today. They didn't see what she did. And even if they did, even if they all think I'm wrong, I don't care. This isn't negotiable. I felt something shift in my chest, something that had been clenched tight for months starting to loosen just slightly. Thank you, I said. You don't have to thank me for protecting our home. Yes, I do, because most people wouldn't. Most people would tell me to compromise, to let it go, to think about the family. You are my family, you and Annie, nothing else comes close. Judith didn't call that night, or the next day, or the day after that. Marcus did, though. I was in the garden when my phone rang. Wednesday afternoon, pulling weeds from the bed where Annie and I had planted sunflowers the summer before she got sick. The flowers had died back in the fall, but they'd self-seeded. New ones were coming. Up now, small and green and stubbornly alive. I almost didn't answer when I saw his name, but curiosity got the better of me. Claire. His voice was tight, controlled. The voice he used in court, I imagined. I think we need to talk about what happened yesterday. I agree. That seemed to surprise him. Oh, good, because Jennifer is really upset and Mom is, well, she's hurt. And I understand you had a reaction, but I think if we all just sit down like adults. Your mother broke into my house and attempted to steal my property. Silence. She wasn't stealing. She was trying to help. She was removing furniture from my home without permission and transporting it elsewhere. That's theft. She had a key, which she no longer has. And having a key doesn't give you the right to enter someone's home and remove their belongings while they're not there. If I'd called the police, they would have arrested her. You wouldn't have. Try me. More silence then. This is about the room, isn't it? This is about boundaries, respect, basic human decency. It's a room full of stuff for a dead kid, Claire. I'm sorry, but that's what it is. And Mom thought, we all thought, that maybe helping you move past that would be good for you, would help you heal. The casual cruelty of it, the exact same script his mother had used, delivered in the same tone of voice that suggested he was being reasonable and I was being hysterical, made my hands shake. Let me be very clear, I said. Your girlfriend's baby will not be raised in my daughter's bedroom. Not now, not ever. If you want to visit with your child, you're welcome to stay in a hotel. If Judith wants to see her grandchild, she can host you at her house. But this house, this space, is mine. And Annie's memory is not something I'm willing to negotiate over to make your mother feel better about being a grandmother again. Jennifer's really hurt that you blocked her number. Jennifer texted me to tell me I was overreacting to your mother stealing from me. I blocked her because I have no interest in that conversation. She was trying to be nice. She was trying to smooth things over so everyone could pretend your mother didn't do something inexcusable. I'm not interested in pretending. Mom's not going to apologize. You know that, right? She thinks she didn't do anything wrong. Then she's not welcome in my home. David said the same thing. Good. You're really going to blow up the whole family over this? I'm not blowing up anything. Your mother made a choice. Now she's dealing with the consequences. That's how the world works, Marcus. Jesus, Claire, when did you become so cold? The question hit me like a sap. Cold. I'd been called a lot of things since Annie died. Fragile, broken, lost, unstable, but never cold. When your mother tried to erase my daughter, I said quietly. That's when I hung up. My hands were shaking again. I went back to pulling weeds, yanking them out of the ground with more force than necessary, feeling the sun on my back and the dirt under my fingernails and the hot sting of tears I wouldn't let fall. David found me there an hour later. He sat down beside me in the dirt without saying anything, just started pulling weeds from the other end of the bed. We worked in silence for a while. Marcus called you, he said finally. Yes. He called me too, said you were being unreasonable. Probably. He said Mom's not going to apologize. I know. He wants me to convince you to be the bigger person. David said it with air quotes, his voice dripping with disgust. I pulled up a particularly stubborn dandelion, roots and all. What did you tell him? I told him that his mother broke into our house and tried to clear out our dead daughter's room while you were at her grave. And if he couldn't understand why that was unforgivable, then he was even more of an asshole than I thought. I looked at him. You didn't. I absolutely did. He hung up on me. David, no, I'm done. He threw a handful of weeds into the bucket beside us. I'm done making excuses for her. I'm done pretending she's just old-fashioned or means well or any of the other bullshit we've been telling ourselves for years. She's controlling, she's manipulative, and she thinks she has the right to make decisions about our lives because she's the matriarch or whatever the hell she thinks she is. Your whole family is going to turn against us. Let them. You don't mean that. He looked at me, really looked at me. Yes, I do, Claire. I have watched you break yourself trying to be what everyone needs you to be. Strong enough to get through the funeral, but soft enough not to make anyone uncomfortable. Sad enough to prove you loved her, but not so sad that people don't know what to say. Moving forward enough to seem healthy, but not so far forward that it looks like you've forgotten her. And I've watched my mother and my brother and my whole goddamn family treat your grief like it's a problem they need to solve, instead of something they need to respect. And I'm done. I am completely done. She's your mother, and you're my wife, and Annie was my daughter, and those things matter more. A sunflower seedling had sprouted between the weeds. Small, fragile, I carefully pulled the weeds around it, giving it space to grow. I don't want you to lose your family over this, I said. I'm not losing my family. I'm setting boundaries with people who refuse to respect them. There's a difference. It won't feel different when they all stop talking to you. Then they were never really family to begin with. The silence from Judith lasted 2 weeks. During that time, I found out from David that Marcus and Jennifer had decided to move into Judith's house instead of looking for their own place. Just temporarily, Marcus had said, until the baby comes. Mom offered. I'm sure she did. David also told me that his sister Rachel had called trying to mediate. She said Mom's hurt, that she was just trying to help, that we should all sit down and talk it out like family. What did you say? I said that family doesn't break into each other's homes and steal their belongings, so Mom's pretty shaky on the definition. Rachel stopped calling after that. I went back to my Tuesdays. Cemetery in the morning, mac and cheese for lunch, the slow, quiet routine of grief that had become my life. Except now, when I came home, I checked the doors, made sure they were locked, changed the security code on the alarm system. David installed a camera doorbell without me asking. I hated that I had to do those things. Hated that my own home didn't feel safe anymore. But I did them anyway. On the Wednesday of the 3rd week, I was in Annie's room. I'd started going in more often. Not less since Judith's invasion, when I heard voices outside, raised voices. I went to the window. Judith was standing in our driveway. David was blocking the front door. I couldn't hear what they were saying, but I could see their body language. Judith gesturing sharply. David's arms crossed. Both of them rigid with anger. I watched for a minute, trying to decide if I should go down there. Then Judith pointed toward the house, toward the upstairs window, toward me. I stepped back from the glass. When I came downstairs 5 minutes later, David was alone in the kitchen, his face flushed. What did she want? To apologize. He said it flatly. Did she? No, she wanted to come in and have a conversation so we could clear the air. I told her she wasn't welcome until she apologized. She said she had nothing to apologize for. I told her to leave. That's it? She said. He stopped, shook his head. Never mind, it doesn't matter. David. She said if you were a real mother, you'd understand what she was trying to do. She said real mothers don't turn their children's rooms into museums. Real mothers know when to let go. The air went out of my lungs. She said that. She said a lot of things. Most of them not worth repeating. I sat down at the kitchen table. My legs didn't feel steady enough to hold me. She also said, David's voice was careful now, gentle. She said she knows about the fertility doctor. I went very still. What? Apparently Jennifer told her that you'd made an appointment, that you wanted to try again, that I was the one holding back. That's not what happened. I know. I went to one appointment, and I wasn't trying to pressure you or go behind your back or... It was just an informational meeting. The doctor said it would take at least a year before we could even think about trying again after the vasectomy reversal, and I just wanted to know what the options were. I didn't. Claire. He knelt down beside my chair. I know, I believe you, but Mom's spinning it like you've been secretly trying to replace Annie and I've been the reasonable one stopping you. That's insane. It's what she needs to believe to justify what she did. She's telling anyone who'll listen that she was trying to help you move on because you're stuck in the past, obsessing over Annie instead of looking forward to a future with a new baby. I felt dizzy. Who else knows? Rachel, Marcus, Jennifer, obviously. Probably half the congregation at Mom's church by now. You know how she is. I did know. Judith collected allies the way some people collected stamps. She'd present her version of events, carefully curated, strategically edited, and people would nod along, tell her she was right, tell her she was the victim. Let me guess, I said. She's the heartbroken grandmother who just wanted to help her grieving daughter-in-law, and I'm the unstable mess who can't let go of the past. Something like that. And you're the poor husband caught in the middle. She didn't actually mention me much. This is your villain origin story, apparently. I almost laughed. It came out as a choked sound that wasn't quite laughter and wasn't quite crying. I hate this, I said. I hate all of this. I hate that she's making me the bad guy. I hate that people are going to believe her. I hate that I have to defend my right to grieve my own daughter. You don't have to defend anything. But I do, David, because if I don't, if I just stay quiet and let her tell her version, then that becomes the truth. That's how it works. She rewrites history, and everyone believes her, and suddenly I'm the problem. He was quiet for a moment, then, what do you want to do? I don't know. Do you want to fight back? Set the record straight? With who? Your family? They've already chosen sides. Then we let them. We live our lives. We keep Annie's memory the way we want to keep it. And we stop caring what people who weren't there, who didn't see what she did, think about us. It sounded so simple when he said it like that. But I knew it wouldn't be. The first card came on Thursday. Plain white envelope. My name written in careful cursive. No return address. Inside was a greeting card with flowers on the front. The kind you buy at the drugstore when you need to say something but don't know what. The printed message said, "Thinking of you." Below that, in the same cursive handwriting, "Grief is a journey. Sometimes the hardest part is knowing when to take the next step. Praying for your healing." A friend I showed it to David that night. Do you recognize the handwriting? He studied it. Could be one of Mom's friends from church. She has a whole prayer circle of women who basically do whatever she tells them. Why would they send this to me? Because Mom probably told them you need prayer, that you're struggling, that you need support in your time of grief. I am struggling, I do need support. But this is passive-aggressive bullshit disguised as sympathy. Yeah. The second card came on Saturday. Different handwriting, this time. Same general message. God doesn't give us more than we can handle. Trust in His timing. Your daughter is in a better place. Maybe it's time to find peace in that. The third card came on Tuesday. This one didn't bother with the greeting card format. Just a piece of notepaper with a Bible verse. There is a time for everything and a season for every activity under the heavens. A time to weep and a time to laugh, a time to mourn and a time to dance. Ecclesiastes 3:1-4. Below that, perhaps it's time for your season to change. I stopped opening them after that. They kept coming, though, one every few days. I collected them in a drawer in the kitchen, unopened. David wanted to throw them away. I wouldn't let him. Why are you keeping them? He asked. Evidence? Of what? I don't know yet. Marcus and Jennifer's baby was born on November 12th, 8 pounds, 6 ounces. Perfectly healthy. They named him Christopher. I found out from a Facebook post Jennifer made full of hospital photos and hashtags about blessed motherhood. David found out from a text from Marcus. Short, impersonal, baby's here, everyone's healthy, no invitation to visit, no suggestion of meeting the baby, just the facts. Are you okay? David asked me that night. We were in bed, both of us pretending to read. I'd been staring at the same page for 20 minutes. I don't know, I said honestly. I'm happy for them, I think. I'm glad the baby's healthy. I wouldn't wish what we went through on anyone. But I also feel, I struggled to find the words. I feel like this is supposed to be some kind of test. Like everyone's watching to see if I'm going to fall apart or send a gift or show up at the hospital or, I don't know, perform the right version of grief-stricken but gracious aunt. You don't owe them anything. I know, but it still feels like I do. David was quiet for a moment. Then, do you want to send something for the baby? Do you? I asked you first. I thought about it, really thought about it. No, I said finally. I don't. Not because I'm angry at them. I mean, I am angry at Jennifer for taking your mom's side. And I'm angry at Marcus for being Marcus. But that's not why. I don't want to pretend we're all okay. I don't want to send a gift basket and a card and act like nothing happened. Because something did happen. Your mother tried to erase our daughter, and they supported her. And I'm not ready to forgive that. Okay? You can send something if you want. You're his brother. I'm also Annie's father, and your husband. And I'm not ready to pretend either. We went back to our books. The silence felt different than it used to. Less empty, more intentional. 3 days later, Judith called David's cell phone at 2 a.m. I woke to hear him answering, his voice rough with sleep. What, Mom, it's 2 in the... Then silence while he listened. No, more silence. Because you haven't apologized. We've had this conversation. His voice was getting harder now, sharper. I don't care if it's been 3 months. I don't care if everyone else thinks. No, Mom, I'm not going to... He hung up. I turned on the lamp. What did she want? She wanted us to come to Sunday dinner. Said it was time to let bygones be bygones. Said Marcus and Jennifer would be there with the baby, and it would be a chance for us to meet our nephew and rejoin the family. Let bygones be bygones. Yeah. Not I'm sorry, doll. Not I was wrong, just let's all forget it happened and move on. That's her version of an apology. I sat up. My heart was pounding, anger or adrenaline or both. Call her back. Claire, call her back right now. I want to talk to her. It's 2 in the morning. She called you at 2 in the morning. Clearly she's awake. Call her back. David looked at me for a long moment. Then he redialed. Judith answered on the first ring. David, I really think if you just... It's Claire, I said. David had put her on speaker. Silence. Oh, well, I'm glad you're willing to talk. I've been hoping. I want you to say it. Say what? What you did specifically. I want you to say out loud what you did on October 6th. I don't see how. Say it, or we hang up and you never hear from us again. More silence. Then grudgingly, I came to your house. While I was where? At the cemetery. Visiting my daughter's grave. Keep going. I brought movers. To do what? To move some furniture. What furniture? Be specific. I could hear her breathing, hard, angry. Furniture from Annie's room. And did you have my permission to do that? I had a key. Did you have my permission? Yes or no? No. And when I told you to stop, what did you do? I tried to explain. You argued with me. In my house. About my right to keep my dead daughter's belongings in my own home. Do I have that right? Yes. Say it. You have the right to what? To keep Annie's room the way you want it. And what you did was wrong. Say it. I was trying to help. Judith, David's voice cut through. Say it or we're done. Permanently. A long, terrible pause. Then, so quiet I almost couldn't hear it. What I did was wrong. And I'm sorry. For what? For coming into your house without permission and trying to remove Annie's belongings. It wasn't everything. It didn't address the cruelty of what she'd said, the dismissal of our grief, the way she'd weaponized other people's sympathy against us, but it was something. Thank you, I said. So you'll come to dinner on Sunday? No. But I apologized. Yes, you did, after 3 months and a 2 a.m. phone call. That doesn't erase what you did. It doesn't rebuild trust. It's a start, but it's only a start. What do you want from me? Space, respect, time, in that order. How much time? I don't know yet. That's not fair. Neither was stealing from me. But here we are. I hung up before she could respond. My hands were shaking. David pulled me against him, and I realized I was crying. Not sad crying, not grief crying. Something else. Something that felt almost like relief. You okay? He asked. Ask me tomorrow. Sunday came and went. We didn't go to dinner. Monday I got a text from Rachel. Mom's really trying. Can't you give her a chance? I didn't respond. Tuesday I went to the cemetery, brought daisies, sat by Annie's grave and told her about her cousin Christopher, about the cards people kept sending, about the complicated mess of trying to grieve someone while defending your right to grieve them. I think you would have liked being a cousin, I told her. You were always good with babies, so gentle. The wind moved through the trees. Somewhere a bird was singing. I stayed until afternoon. When I got home, David was in Annie's room. He was sitting in the rocking chair, holding one of her stuffed animals, a rabbit she'd named Mr. Flops. She'd slept with it every night. "Hey," I said softly from the doorway. He looked up, his eyes were red. "I miss her," he said. "Me too. I keep thinking about what Mom said, about the room being a museum, and I wonder if she's right, if we're doing this wrong." I came in, sat on the floor next to the chair. "There is no right way to do this," I said. "But what if keeping everything the same is what if it's making it worse? What if we're supposed to, I don't know, let go, move things, change something? Do you want to change things?" He was quiet for a long time. "I don't know. Some days yes, some days no. Today I just wanted to sit in here and hold something that smelled like her. Mr. Flops doesn't smell like her anymore." "I know, but I remember what she smelled like when she held him. And sometimes that's enough." I leaned my head against the arm of the chair. "Your mom's apology didn't fix anything," I said. "I know. I'm still angry, at her, at Marcus, at everyone who thinks we're doing this wrong." "Me too. But I think," I paused, trying to find the right words. "I think maybe we can't wait for them to understand. Maybe they never will, and maybe that's okay. Maybe we just have to do this our way, and let them think whatever they're going to think." David was quiet. Then, "Do you think we'll ever be okay again? You and me? We're okay now. Are we though, really?" I thought about it, about the distance between us, about the way we moved around each other carefully, like people navigating a room full of broken glass. "We're different than we were," I said. "We're always going to be different. Annie changed us. Losing her changed us. Your mom breaking in here changed us. But different doesn't mean not okay. I don't want to lose you too." "You won't." "How do you know?" "Because we're sitting here, in our daughter's room, having this conversation. That's not what people do when they're giving up." He reached down, touched my hair. "I love you," he said. "I love you too." We sat there until the light changed, until evening started creeping across the floor in long golden bars. Then we got up together and went downstairs to make dinner. December came. The holidays loomed like a wall we'd have to climb. Rachel called again. Then Marcus. Then several of Judith's church friends whose numbers I didn't recognize. All variations on the same theme. It's Christmas, family should be together. Can't you forgive and move on? I started sending the calls to voicemail. David did the same. We made plans to spend Christmas alone. Just the two of us. Quiet. Then on December 18th, a package arrived. Large box, wrapped in brown paper. My name and address in handwriting I didn't recognize. No return address. David wanted me to throw it away. I opened it instead. Inside was Annie's rocking chair. The one from her room. The one I sat in every Tuesday. Except it wasn't in her room anymore. It was here, in a box, on our porch. There was a note taped to the armrest. "Since you won't let the past go, I thought I'd help you preserve it properly. This should be in a storage unit with the rest of her things, not taking up space in a room that could be useful. You can thank me later when you've healed enough to see I was right. Judith." I stood there staring at the chair, at the note, at the sheer audacity of it. Then I pulled out my phone. Not to call Judith, to call a lawyer. The lawyer's name was Patricia Chen. She specialized in property law and restraining orders. I met with her on December 20th. "Talk me through what happened," she said. So I did, all of it. The break-in on October 6th, the attempted theft, the cards, the phone calls, the chair. She took notes, asked clarifying questions, didn't tell me I was overreacting. "The chair is interesting," she said when I finished. "Because you have proof it was in your house. You said you have photos?" "Hundreds, time-stamped. The chair's in the background of at least 50 of them. And now it's not in your house. It's in a box on your porch, with a note from her saying she removed it." "Yes. That's theft, clear-cut." "But she gave it back. She removed property from your home without permission, transported it elsewhere, and returned it with a note explaining why she took it. The fact that she gave it back doesn't erase the theft. If anything, the note is evidence of intent. What can I do? Several things. You can file a police report for the initial incident and this one. You can pursue a restraining order. You can send a cease and desist letter, or you can do all three. What would you recommend? She studied me for a moment. What do you want the outcome to be? I want her to leave me alone. I want her to stop treating my grief like it's a problem she gets to solve. I want her to understand that she doesn't have power over me or my home or my daughter's memory. Then I'd recommend starting with a cease and desist letter. Formal, legal, making it clear that any further contact, any further entry to your property, any further removal of your belongings will result in immediate legal action. If she violates it, then we pursue the restraining order and press charges. Will that work? Maybe, maybe not, but it establishes a legal paper trail, and sometimes that's enough to make people realize you're serious. I thought about Judith reading a letter from a lawyer, about how angry she'd be, about how it would look to the rest of the family. Then I thought about Annie's chair in a box on my porch. Do it, I said. The letter was sent on December 22nd, certified mail, return receipt requested. Judith signed for it on December 23rd. She called David 6 times that day. He didn't answer. She showed up at our house on Christmas Eve. We saw her car pull into the driveway, watched her get out carrying what looked like presents. David called the police before she even made it to the door. We have a cease and desist order against this person, he told the dispatcher. She's on our property right now. We'd like her removed. I watched from the upstairs window as 2 officers arrived. As they spoke to Judith, as her expression shifted from confident to confused to outraged. She gestured toward the house, toward her car full of presents, probably explaining that she was family, that this was a misunderstanding, that we were being unreasonable. The officers weren't interested. They escorted her back to her car, watched her drive away. One of them came to the door. We showed him the cease and desist letter. He took notes, said we'd done everything right. She'll probably be back, he said. People like this usually are. But if she shows up again, call us immediately. We'll have it on record that this is a pattern. After he left, David and I sat in the living room, looking at the small tree we'd put up. The presents underneath, just a few, for each other, nothing elaborate. Merry Christmas, David said. Merry Christmas. Think she'll actually stay away now? No idea. Me neither. We opened our presents, made dinner, watched old movies. It was quiet. It was sad. But it was ours. The restraining order was filed on January the 3rd. Judith contested it. We went to court on January 15th. She brought Marcus and Jennifer, a lawyer, 3 women from her church who were prepared to testify about what a good person she was, how devoted to her family, how concerned about my mental health. I brought David, Patricia Chen, and a banker's box full of evidence. Photos of Annie's room, time-stamped, showing every piece of furniture exactly where it had been. The text message from David about his vasectomy. The house deed with my name on it. Copies of all the cards I'd received. The note from the chair. Security camera footage from the day she showed up on Christmas Eve. The police report from that incident. Patricia was efficient, precise. She walked the judge through each piece of evidence, building a timeline that made Judith's behavior look exactly like what it was. A pattern of harassment, boundary violation, and attempted control. Judith's lawyer tried to argue that she was a concerned grandmother, that her actions came from a place of love, that I was being vindictive and using the legal system to punish her for trying to help. The judge wasn't buying it. Mrs. Mitchell, he said, looking at Judith over his glasses, you admit that you entered the plaintiff's home without permission. I had a key, which was given to you for emergency purposes years ago, correct? Yes, but... And on October 6th, was there an emergency? Silence. Mrs. Mitchell, I was trying to help my daughter-in-law. By removing furniture from her home while she was at her daughter's grave? More silence. And when she asked you to stop, you argued with her? I was explaining, yes or no, Mrs. Mitchell, did you argue with her? Yes. The judge looked at the evidence in front of him. The restraining order is granted. Mrs. Mitchell, you are prohibited from contacting the plaintiff, entering her property, or coming within 500 feet of her residence. This order will remain in effect for 1 year, at which point it can be reviewed and potentially extended. Do you understand? Judith's face was white. Your Honor, she's my daughter-in-law. My son lives in that house. Your son is not covered by this order. If he wishes to maintain contact with you, that's his choice. But the plaintiff has the right to feel safe in her own home, and your pattern of behavior has demonstrated that you do not respect that right. The order stands. We walked out of the courthouse into cold January sunshine. Marcus was standing by the parking lot, waiting. Jennifer was in the car, engine running. You happy now? He called to us. David kept walking. You just publicly humiliated our mother, made her look like a criminal, over a fucking room. David stopped, turned. She is a criminal, he said, quietly. She stole from us, twice. She harassed us. She violated a cease and desist. And the judge agreed with us. So yeah, Marcus, I'm pretty happy with how this turned out. She's 70 years old, and old enough to know better. Jennifer's in the car crying. Did you know that? She's crying because of what you just did to my family. Your family? I stepped forward. Your family violated my home. Your family tried to erase my daughter. Your family has spent 4 months treating my grief like it's a burden you all have to manage. So forgive me if I don't really care about Jennifer's tears right now. Marcus looked at me like he'd never seen me before. You've changed. Yes, I have. Not for the better. That's your opinion. Mom's right about you. You're stuck. You're broken. And instead of getting help, you're dragging David down with you. David stepped between us. We're done here. No, we're not. I want to know how long you're going to let her do this. How long you're going to choose her grief over your actual living family. Forever, David said. I'll choose her forever. And if you can't understand why, then we really don't have anything else to talk about. We got in our car, drove away, left Marcus standing in the parking lot, looking smaller than I'd ever seen him. The weeks after the restraining order were strange, quieter. We waited for retaliation, for Judith to find some loophole, some way to continue making her presence felt. But nothing came. No cards, no calls, no unexpected packages, just silence. Rachel sent a single text. I hope you're proud of yourself. I didn't respond. February came, then March. Annie's birthday was April 12th. She would have been 8. David and I went to the cemetery in the morning, brought balloons, purple, her favorite color, cupcakes with too much frosting, the kind she loved. We sat by her grave and sang happy birthday, badly, the way we used to when she was alive. Then we went home and made her favorite dinner, chicken nuggets shaped like dinosaurs, French fries, apple slices with peanut butter. We set a place for her at the table. It was absurd. It was painful. It was exactly what we needed. After dinner, we went into her room. David sat in the rocking chair, the one we'd put back the day after it arrived in the box, the one that had somehow become even more precious because someone had tried to take it. I sat on the floor. I've been thinking, he said, about what we do with this room, eventually. Okay, not now, not soon, but someday, when we're ready. I think maybe we could keep some things, the important things, but let go of others. Make it into something else, something that still honors her but doesn't freeze us in this moment forever. Like what? I don't know yet. Maybe a library. She loved books, or a reading room, somewhere quiet, somewhere that feels like her but isn't just preserved exactly as it was the day she died. I thought about it. I'm not ready, I said. I know, neither am I. But maybe someday we will be. And when that day comes, we get to decide what it looks like. Not my mom, not anyone else, us. Yeah. And if that day never comes, if we want to keep this room exactly like this forever, that's okay too. You mean that? Yes. We sat there in the yellow room with the clouds on the ceiling and the books on the shelves and the rocking chair that had been stolen and returned and reclaimed. I think she'd want us to be happy, David said. Eventually, when we figure out what that looks like now. I think so too, but I also think she'd understand that we're not there yet. Yeah. Outside, the sun was setting. The light coming through the window was soft, golden, the kind of light that makes everything look gentler than it is. Thank you, I said. For what? for choosing me, for protecting this, for not making me do this alone. You don't have to thank me for that. Yes, I do. He reached down, took my hand. We sat there until it was dark. It's been a year now since Judith broke into our house. The restraining order is still in effect. She hasn't contacted us, hasn't shown up, hasn't sent anyone else to do her work for her. Marcus and Jennifer had their baby baptized. We weren't invited. Rachel got married in June. We weren't invited to that either. David's family has moved on without us. They've decided we're the problem, the difficult ones, the people who couldn't forgive and move forward. And maybe they're right in a way. Maybe we are difficult. Maybe we are stuck, but we're stuck together in a house that's ours, with a room that belongs to our daughter, and no one gets to tell us that's wrong anymore. Annie's room is still yellow, still has clouds on the ceiling, still has her books on the shelves, but we've started making small changes. We repainted the hallway, added new pictures to the walls, photos of all of us together, back when she was alive and we didn't know how little time we had. We planted a garden in the backyard, sunflowers like the ones Annie and I planted before she got sick. They're growing tall now, bright yellow faces turning toward the sun. We still have mac and cheese on Tuesdays, but sometimes we have it with friends now, people who knew Annie, people who don't expect us to be over it or past it or healed. I still go to the cemetery every week, but I don't cry every time anymore. Sometimes I just sit there and talk to her, tell her about my day, about the garden, about her cousin Christopher, who apparently looks just like Marcus did as a baby. Sometimes I bring David with me. We're figuring it out day by day, week by week. We're learning that grief doesn't have a timeline, that healing doesn't mean forgetting, that protecting your space, your literal physical space, is not the same as being unable to move forward. We're learning that family is supposed to respect your boundaries, not bulldoze them. And we're learning that sometimes the strongest thing you can do is say no. No, you can't come in. No, you can't take this from me. No, you don't get to decide what my grief looks like. Just no. Last week, I got a letter, not from Judith, from a grief support group she apparently told people I needed. The letter was kind, gentle, inviting me to join other parents who had lost children. I threw it away. Not because I don't need support, I do, but because I'm not going to let Judith decide what kind of support I get, even indirectly. Instead, I called a different group, one I found myself, one that doesn't have anything to do with her. I start next month. David's coming with me. We'll sit in a circle with other people who understand that you don't get over this. You don't move past it. You just learn to carry it differently, and maybe that's enough. Maybe that's all we can ask for. Sometimes people ask me if I regret it, if I wish I'd handled things differently, if maybe I should have just let Judith have the room, kept the peace, made things easier for everyone. I think about Annie's room the way it looked that day when I came home from the cemetery. Empty shelves, missing furniture, strangers carrying pieces of her away. I think about the rocking chair in a box with that note. I think about all the people who told me I was wrong, difficult, stuck. And I think, no, I don't regret it. I protected something that mattered to me, something that was mine to protect. I drew a line and defended it. And if that makes me the villain in someone else's story, I can live with that. Because in my story, in Annie's story, I'm the mother who wouldn't let her daughter be erased, who wouldn't let anyone tell me how or when or whether to grieve, who kept her room yellow, who still plants sunflowers, who still makes mac and cheese on Tuesdays. That's not a villain. That's just someone who loved her daughter, and who will keep loving her in whatever way feels right for as long as she lives. The room is still here. The door is still closed most of the time, but it's mine to close, mine to open, mine to keep exactly as it is or to change someday when I'm ready. No one else gets a say, not anymore. I walked in from Annie's grave that morning and saw strangers moving my furniture, but they didn't take it, because I didn't let them. And that small, stubborn act of protection turned out to be everything.